this particular society also. Society for Communal Harmony has run social harmony sanitization programs amongst especially young peoples, and especially for the awareness of the young peoples in India. And it's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome today's respected guest, Dr. JERNAIL Singh Anand, and respected Sir Amit P. Jivani sir, and respected Pushpa ma'am, who are with us to share their thoughts on our topic. And on behalf of Vishwaneedam Center for Asian Bloomspring, in collaboration with Society for Communal Harmony, I offer my regard to all the speakers and the guests and speakers and the peoples join us. I convey my regard to the chief guest of the day, Dr. JERNAIL Singh Anand sir. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and coming over for the seminar. And particularly this seminar, the schedule of the seminar will focus on the topic of new approach of electoral reform in India. It will include more issues. It will include more issues to address the full aspect of the new approach of electoral reforms in India. And after introducing this, I would like to introduce our chief guest, Dr. JERNAIL Singh Anand. Most of the sir doesn't require an introduction, as he is a well-recognized figure in our country. He is known for his wonderful administration and high achievement of the institution. He is a poet, and he's an environmentalist and a column writer. He was awarded a PhD degree in English by Punjab University, Chandigarh in the year 2000. Sir retired as a principal and is now on an honorary position of professor emeritus at the University at the Institution of European Rome Studies and Research, Crime Against Humanity and International Law, Belgrade, Serbia. Dr. Anand has co-innovated the theory of biotax in critical theory, along with an Iranian scholar, Dr. Fares, chief coordinator of the research project on the poetry of Dr. Anand, initiated by University of Naisabur, Iran. And Dr. Anand sir was president of the World Poetry Conference organized in October 2019 in Batinda, Punjab, India. During the career, he served on the board of educational societies, including the Senate and Syndicate of Punjab University and the Board of Studies of Guru Kashi University. And the sir was authored 140 books of English poetry, fiction and non-fiction, and spirituals, published 120 articles, published various national and international anthologies, and has introduced poets by writing review articles. Dr. Anand sir has also been a leader in the fight against climate change. He lead the countrywide tree plantation campaign and Batinda, Punjab, in association with the 27th Battalion of Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force under the initiative My Earth, My Duty, following directive from the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, and planted 21,000 saplings in the region. Without any further delay, I would like to start the webinar, and I would be delighted to have delighted to have your question at the end of the event. Now, over to you, Dr. Anand sir.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. And I am really very thankful to Randhir Gautam and the convener of this program, Pratima Soni from ICFAI University, Jaipur, and all the dignitaries within society and society for communal harmony, all the dignitaries who are associated with this, and all my colleagues, friends who have joined this talk today and who are yet to join. Uh, I have always been very highly associated and stirred by the idea of electoral reforms. The fact is that so 2 or 3 years back, I had written this book. You can see this. It is Hard Talk. It has 15 articles written by me, and they were published in the newspapers also. This is a political document, actually. And I have been very deeply thinking that this electoral system has outlived its utility. We are talking of reforms. I don't talk of reform. I think it needs overhaul or total replacement because it has been broken at so many places. So, what we need is, I believe in alternative thinking. And for me, it is, we have been experimenting with democracy and we are going from, bad to worse. And it has never been when the graph is going up, it is just going down. And for 300 400 years this experiment has been going on. Every idea, when there was a revolution in Russia in 1917, somebody asked Vivekanand, Swami Vivekanand, what do you think about it? He said, let there be 70 or 80 years. Only then I will say about it. Or anything can be said about it. And we know the idea has disintegrated. In the same way, what I believe is that the job of the intellectuals and job of the concerned is not only to repair the things which are going wrong, but also to think post democracy. Think of something like this. We are not to struggle with a system which we are unable to reform. It has been, so much damage has been done. So I have certain ideas, and that is why when Dr. Gautam talked to me, I said I feel impelled to talk on this. So the thing is that, as I have said, we need a relook, a recast of the whole system, and then when we see that the system is stinking, what happens? Now, suppose there are 100 people in the assembly, 50 form the government. Tell me frankly, what the other 50 people are doing 5 years. This is my basic objection. This is my basic, I mean, criticism of this system. But those 50, other 50 people, there 50 are in the government, no doubt they have been given department and they are doing. What the other 50 are doing? They are just trying to pull the legs of the people. This is their job and they are paid for it. This is the shocking thing, that they are paid only to find fault with the government. Not only this, if the government does something good, they are against it. If the government doesn't do something good, then they are expected to be against it. So the idea of the opposition needs some sort of replacement. Why they are opposing a government? For the heck of it? I think it is a miscalculation of the whole idea. Opposition we should not, somebody is on the chair, I am not in the government. Is it my duty that I should pull his legs and I don't let him work for 4 years? This is nonsense of this idea. We need to relook in these premises that we have started. And what I have said is, we need to look at these things post democracy. And my suggestion is, I have thought over it, that the idea of opposition gives birth to a government by conflict. You can see the center, see the states. Nobody runs the government by consensus. If at all there is a consensus, it is manufactured. They pay, they buy, there is a consensus. No. All these evils that have crept into our system, they need to be, redressed if we want, if we are really interested in something called democratic system where people have the power. So instead of conflict, there should be consensus. And what I think is that uh, all those people who are elected, maybe uh, in Punjab we elect 117 people. There are 92 in one party, and there are 18 or something in all other parties. Why these people cannot be given some useful work to do instead of just criticizing the government? Now, this is going against the idea of democracy, idea of opposition, all these things. But I have told you, I believe in alternative thinking. It may be, however faulty it may be, but we need a system to replace this democracy with a better system. We don't want dictatorship. We don't want people who have played with the idea of democracy. But even then, as we are helpless people, I tell you, the mass is absolutely helpless. The government is so powerful. They can do anything. They can put any sort of taxes. They may mention them in the budget or not. Who can check them? So my answer to these questions is that the policy of, what you have seen is that Congress, when Congress was in power, they are pulling the country into one direction. Now there is another party. They are pulling the country into another direction. Right? What is happening? They are interested in their personal philosophies. They are, they do not represent India. India is something else. And the thing is that the policy of the government in which the people are involved, and people have elected their representatives, a government cannot be given this, responsibility to decide the policy of the government. Here I differ with the system. I wish that all the parties, I am not talking of parliament, I am talking because parliament is too big a body where too much is done, too much remains undone, and people know how to bypass, how to manage, right? So I wish that all the heads of political parties should join their heads together. It should be a Politburo type of body, and that will decide the education policy of the government. That will decide the defense policy of the government. That policy in which everybody will be there, and there will be no question of any opposition after that. And these people, once they put together, they decide the policy of the government, and it will continue. It will not change after 4 years, 5 years. It will be decided by the all the representative of the people. Opposition will be there, non-opposition will be there, and once they decide, now this is the most important part of my thought. It is the government will only be an implementing authority. Government will not be allowed to think apart from but the nation thinks in that Politburo. So if one government comes, the other people get more votes, they come, doesn't matter. Government changes, no problem. But the policy of the state, the policy of the country will remain the same. It will change only when all the people put together, when they think there needs to be a change, it will be changed. Not okay, today morning somebody says this is done, then this is done. They are powerful enough, anything can be done. And then there are some families of politicians. grandfather politician, father politician, son politician, son's son politician. There are islands of power. They need to be dismantled. There, for the premier, for the CM, for the PM, there should be only one term, no second term. Why second term? Are there no other capable people left in the country? We need to think over these things, because for the second term, when there is a second term possible, during the last year nobody works. You see, in any country, in any state where the voting is to be done, during the last year, what are they doing? They are giving doles to the people. They are tempting the people. It is open bribery. They are making, hijacking the system. And now I come to another major point, that a person who has spent 5 years in the member parliament or MLA, he has a lot of experience. These people have a lot of thoughts. We should have a national wisdom pool transcending all parties. Just as we say, senior people go to Rajya Sabha, right? So there should be another wisdom pool where all the people are there, and they should be called upon to give their views for the further running of the government, for the running of the country. So I was thinking that it is not enough if we just say here is problem, there is problem. There are only problems. We don't have. I don't think the way things are run in the world today, anywhere except where democracy was born, countries like England, countries like France, these are the people where there are no very lengthy constitutions. They run by conventions only. But even then you will find people are still committed to democracy. But in India, where the largest constitution, what does it mean? You have more ways to bypass the fact, the reality, and the rules. So, dear friends, um, I will not take much time. These were some seminal views, and mostly they are discussed in the book also. And I am available for any talk also if you wish. And I hope it is a new agenda. Let us continue if we approve of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now our today's second speaker with us, Sri Amit P. Jivani, sir. Amit sir has bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Bharati Vidyapeeth University, Pune. Professionally, he is in the software industry, leading the team that develops and sells marketing automation for the e-commerce industry. Individually, he is passionate about making the right kind of difference of mankind. He is making sustained effort in getting an election process implemented, which he is going to discuss today with us. Other than that, as a farmer, he is setting an example of the model farming concept for Indian farmers and villages. After doing all this, whenever he gets time, he is exploring some ideas that can again be of huge value addition of India's road transport sector of public and goods transportation. Sir, over to you, Amit sir.
Thank you. Anand sir, thanks for bringing the critical points, because the pen statement that you have given in almost 6-7 critical important points, I will be answering them or providing the solution for those challenges, the 6-7 challenges that you mentioned, and I was noting down each of them, like what is opposition is doing. And there has to be consensus instead of conflict. People are feeling helplessness, and the party heads should come together, and there should be no second term. However, I slightly differ about it, but it's a democracy, right? And the wisdom, people of wisdom, there has to be a wisdom pool, right? So, as you said, the current system has outlived its potential, its abilities, primarily because it was devised in the days when this was considered to be the best option in those days. And the reason is we used to do elections through ballot paper. And for such a large India, the simplest method was first past the post system. And for us also, as I will definitely echo your sentiments that this is the biggest challenge we are having. The first past the post system itself is the biggest culprit, and I will prove them in this presentation going forward. I will start sharing my screen. I believe I will have the permission. Just a minute. I will have to. I may have to drop off for a second. I will be rejoining it again.
Okay, sir.
My mic was mute and camera was also. Okay, so I apologize for the mix-up. My system was not ready for the presentation. It is a new device that I got yesterday from the office. Anyways, without wasting any other time, I will start sharing my screen. And I believe everyone is able to see it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your presentation is visible.
So as said earlier, the biggest culprit for us is first past the post system because it has not been able to get rid of this many issues. The first one is the vote bank politics that has been increasing since this has been found to be helpful by the political parties. Right? I don't want to get into much of the details since by means of vote bank politics and even vote cutters politics, the honest have been sidelined, and those who are not so honest or corrupt or criminal who would like to hang on to the power by using any kind of ulterior techniques, they have got into the politics, and now they are indulging into criminalization as well, to sometimes to hide the corruption, and sometimes their criminalism is the business for themselves to fulfill their vested interest. And this process itself has become, in the present day scenario, it used to be good because in those days we used to have far many number of the politicians, or political ecosystem used to be very clean with the clean people at the helm of the affairs or the party heads. But present day scenario is completely opposite. And since it is opposite, the honest people don't feel getting the fair chances of being heard or given the right kind of roles. The logical issues with the first past post system is even the candidate with 35% of the votes can be declared winner, and that is the biggest issue. When you get elected with the help of 35% of the vote, there is another observation to this result is 65% people didn't vote for that particular representative who has been elected, and that is where it becomes very easy to win the election when you can manage the elections with the help of around 35-45%. More than 80% seats are won by 45% votes in almost any kind of election in India. And that is when 55% of the people feel neglected or don't find the right, feel that they have a right representative in the respective houses of the assembly or the parliament. The parties and candidates feel a particular seat very safe seat when they go on to get this, secure the 70% of the votes. And when there is a security, they can easily afford to ignore the remaining 30% population of the same area or some geography. These are the issues. I will, since independence, even before independence, we have been divided in different castes and different communities we have seen that pre-independence communal rights has been there, right? And even some issues where have been there since 1600 BC or 1700 BC, when caste system became so worse that a particular section of the society got almost suppressed, and it has been increasing since that day. In the recent years, it has reduced to a great extent, but since it is helping the parties win the election, they are not letting this. They are not letting us get rid of this caste issues. When vote bank politics is not enough, the parties employ vote cutters, and this is biggest cost of the winning party. I will give you few examples. In recently held election of Uttar Pradesh, Bahujan Samaj Party contested elections independently, and they were motivated to do it. I wouldn't take anybody's name. Had they aligned with the Samajwadi Party, the result would have been different for the BJP. There were 143 seats in which combined vote share of Samajwadi Party and BSP would have defeated the BJP. And when it is a case of 143 seats, BJP would have been reduced to around 120 seats in the assembly of 403 seats. So that was done again. That is possible by providing some incentives in terms of monetary or other secondary chances. For example, if I have to defeat my opponent by employing a vote cutter, then I will have to pay him some amount of money, or I will have to promise him some future contracts and future favors. Let's say it happened and I become a winner, I become a representative, I become an MLA with the help of some vote cutters. Someday down the line, that vote cutters gunda got caught harassing a lady, then that vote cutter may call me to get his gunda released from the police clutches. And when that gunda is released from the police clutches, the next offense he will do is maybe the rape. And that has been happening. Vote cutters are playing very critical role in assuring the win for their alliance, I would say the hidden alliance members or parties. And vote cutters don't come at low cost. For example, in UPs here, the Mayawati might have been paid very handsome amount. From where this will come? That will come from again corruption, because BJP doesn't have money trees, money plants in the Kambalam offices, right? So that has to come from the corruption. So the issue is large, as again a lot is said against. Because of the vote bank politics, we all are divided, as sir said. Just for the sake of consolidation of vote bank, opposition doesn't get into consensus with the ruling party, because if they get in consensus with ruling party, it establishes that the ruling parties are doing it rightly, and when they are doing it rightly, they can claim the credit of whatever is done rightly. And in the subsequent election, whatever vote bank used to vote for a particular opposition party, in the subsequent elections they will go and vote for the ruling party, and that is what they would like to avoid at any cost. And that is the main reason they don't align with the government policies in any case and in every case. So vote bank politics is the biggest issue. And again, I said, vote cutters, wherever they feel sort of vote bank. Let's take an example of BJP only. BJP started with Hindu upper caste as a vote bank, but eventually they realized that that is not sufficient to win the elections in almost all the states. So they extended their vote bank politics towards even Dalits and OBCs also. And the yesterday's result are part of that politics only. I am not against that lady. I have nothing against her personally. But the putting forward or making sure that the caste equations are balanced rightly is the I would say the compulsion for any party. I am not even blaming BJP, or sir has given the example of BJP, the Aam Aadmi Party winning around 70% seats in the Punjab. It became possible only because the Aam Aadmi Party promised 50% of the vote bank 1,000 rupees every month. Don't forget, female are 50% of the vote bank. And if you can secure 30% out of those 50%, that means 60% votes of those women only, you have to secure remaining 12% from the male. And that is what they had done. They could secure only 42% vote in the entire state's election. And now they have more than 70% seats in the state assembly. Although there was a contribution from the opposition side, Congress was completely disarrayed. There was no alliance in between Shiromani Akali Dal and BJP. But vote bank politics played a critical role in ensuring Aam Aadmi Party's victory. And that has been followed by every party. I'm not blaming BJP alone. I'm not blaming Aam Aadmi Party alone. So this is the biggest issue. And again, this vote bank politics has become a compulsion because of first past the post system only. Now, there is another angle to this analysis. If you look at the vote cutters or the independents contesting elections, here are the statistics of 2019 general elections, in which, in general, there were almost 13 candidates who lost their deposits on every seat, and the total number was around 7,000 candidates. Aren't they aware that they are contesting a Lok Sabha election, which may be represented, which may be a representation of around 1.5 million people of the seat? But they still contest, primarily because either they are here to cut the votes. There are second kind of people who are there to make the difference, but they can't find the right kind of support, right kind of, again, patronage, because people vote for less corrupt, but much better for themselves. Less criminal, but much better for themselves, because they don't see the winnability in the right kind of independent candidates as well. Those who vote with proper thinking, proper logic. I'm not talking about those who follow the line of vote bank politics only. For example, I'm an educated guy. I will not vote for somebody who will not secure even 10% of the votes, because I am sure voting for him will be the wastage of my vote. So I will go for somebody who is less corrupt or less criminal, have got the relatively smaller background of criminal record, because anyhow that candidate has got winnability, and that is again the biggest issue, which is not allowing us to provide a level playing field for those people who are honest, at the same time able administrator. Here I will take an example of gentleman Mr. Arun Bhatia. If you are not sure, I will not waste introducing his abilities. I will just summarize his profile by just one statement. He had been transferred approximately 26 times in the service of 31 years. He was transferred 26 times in the service of 31 years. Still, after resigning from the services, he contested the Lok Sabha election in 2004. He secured approximately 7.8% of the votes. That was not enough for him to secure his deposit also. Again, that is because people, those who voted for him, still tried his luck for him. In the subsequent election, he couldn't even secure those many percent of the votes. His votes are reduced from 7.83% to 4.13%. Again, those who voted for him in 2004 felt that my vote got wasted and somebody like Suresh Kalmadi got elected. So in that case, I will prefer who may be less corrupt, but I will still go for voting. So I will vote for somebody who has got some winnability, and that is what even parties also follow. He even contested third time, and in that case, his votes are reduced to almost 0.8%. His votes reduced from 60,000 to 30,000, and then to 7,000 in the Modi wave of 2014 election. So this is the case we have. Another example is of first past the post system is Mr. E. Sridharan. I think everybody in the room knows him very well. I will not introduce him. He contested election on Palakkad State Assembly seat in 2021. The person who defeated him was Safi Parambil of Congress by the margin of approximately, so less than even 3%. If you look at the margin, what happened to this election was there was another contestant in the process, and that is Mr. CP. That was Mr. CP Pramod, who was considered to be equally clean by the people of Palakkad. When there are two equally honest, knowledgeable, talented people are there in the contesting election, the votes in the name of honest people, able people gets divided in between these two. This is another drawback of first past the post system. And what happened was The winner has got pending 25 criminal cases, not just one, not just two, not just three. I am sure, I am confident out of 25, he must be, I would say, this genuine offender in at least one or two cases. But these two guys lost because they contested with each other. Even the concept of nota is considered to be very groundbreaking and the savior of the people. I see nota as a vote cutter of honest candidates. So the black money is the driver. We have seen for vote bank politics and consolidation of vote bank politics. Black money is required. One-sided policies are required to be framed. Without that, they cannot get into power again and again. Even if we take an example of 1984 elections, when Congress got highest number of the seats in the parliament history of India, they didn't have 50% of the votes. And I am on record right now. I am not claiming anything out of exaggeration. This is the fact. They didn't have 50% of votes when they won 80% of the seats. So when corruption takes over, honest and able people are sidelined naturally, because for example, if BJP has to generate, let's say, 1,000 crore from Gujarat state government, right? And if the chief minister is honest, he will deny. He will simply deny, I will not provide you 1,000 crore out of corruption money or out of corruption activities. If central leadership asks for the generation of some revenue because they want to contest election where they have no presence, like West Bengal, they contested election in West Bengal State Assembly with huge amount of money. From where that money came? If they have to provide money to Asaduddin Owaisi, from where that money will come? Right? So that is the case. And when honest and able people are sidelined, the vacuum is created, and that is filled up by, again, corruption criminals only. And that is what we have to avoid anyhow. And eventually it becomes the competition between corrupts only. And when there are too many corrupt people in the system, they will try to hide their corruptions by means of criminalism. And that is the reason we have Whistleblower Act. But unfortunately, that is not implemented properly, and even whistles are not blown so easily nowadays. There are many people who know whatever is happening, but they don't blow the whistles. Anyway, here is the genuine form of the right to reject that I will present here. This is the new process. Technically, it is called as a approval rating method, but it is even simplified version of the approval rating method. You can go to Wikipedia and you can try to understand approval rating method of the voting. But this is even simplified version of that one. In this case, there has to be EVM like this when there are, let's say, candidates on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side. Against each candidate, there has to be two buttons. One is green and the second one is red. Against each candidate. Let's say I am going to the polling booth. I will have to give my yes vote or no vote. No vote means by pressing the red button. Yes vote means by pressing the green button. If I am not sure of any candidate, I will not press any button against that candidate. I will repeat, if I am liking the candidate number 1, I will press green button to say yes for him. If I don't like the candidate number 2, I will press the no button I will press the red button for saying no to him. If I am not sure of anything about candidate number 3, I will not press any button. And I will repeat the process for all the candidates. And in the end, I have to press the blue button to make sure that all the yes or no or neutral votes are secured in the EVM. Let's say election happened with this method. Candidate number 1 secured approximately 25.1% of the vote as a yes votes and almost 70%, 69% votes as a no vote. So his net vote would be minus 43.8% votes. Similarly, for number 2, candidate number 2 secured approximately 73% yes votes and approximately 22% no votes. If you see this number doesn't make up the 100, because there may be few who were neutral to this candidate. So it is a possibility. And his net votes are 50%. And if we go by the same method for all the candidates, in this case, the net vote is of this gentleman, candidate number 2. And that person can be declared as a winner or representative of that constituency. I have this method clearly indicated in one of my videos on YouTube. You can search it by name. But for here, from voters' point of view, every voter has to say either yes or no, or stay neutral for that candidate by pressing nothing against him. And in the end, he has to press this blue button. Whoever secures highest net votes by ensuring highest yes votes and lowest no votes will be declared winner of that election. Now, if you look at it from this, if you look at this process from the perspective of the candidates or political parties' point of view, to win the elections, they will have to secure highest net votes, and in that case, they have to make sure that they have highest yes votes and lowest no votes. When they have to follow this process, they can't indulge into any kind of vote bank politics. No vote bank politics. The moment they do it, there is other section of the society which will keep pressing the no button against them, and that is where the harmony thing will come into the picture. One thing. Second thing, there is no place for vote cutters to influence any other candidate's voting percentage. Right now, if I am able to manage even 1% of the votes, that must have surely come from some other candidate's section, a portion, had I not contested the election. But that is not the case. Every candidate is given votes independently based on their impression, image, and work history. So there is no place for vote cutters. So no money is required for vote cutters for any party. And when there is no money required for the vote cutters, the requirement for corruption is less. Third thing, people like Arun Bhatia, if contest this kind of elections, they have equal chances of winning the election because they don't have to pull in the votes from someone else's kitty. They are judged independently on their own. And let us take a classical example. Let's say I am given a ticket in the exchange of 5 crore rupees by my party, and there was another person, let's say Anandji were the popular choice of my area, but he wasn't given the ticket because he didn't provide the money that party was looking forward to contest the election. I gave the money, party gave me the ticket. If Anandji is not feeling confident, if Anandji is confident about his popularity in the area, he can contest independently without harming or without the worry of my, I would say, the prospects in the election. He has got equal chances of winning the same election where I am contesting with the help of my party's ticket. And that is where parties will also feel afraid that if we are not giving a ticket to a person who is really popular in that area, in that region, and if he contests election independently in this process, then his chances of his winning are almost as good as ours. But in the first past the post system, if I am a loyal voter of BJP, and if the disgruntled, I would say the not so happy with the ticket distribution member of the BJP contest the election independently, I will not go and vote for that independent candidate because he has got almost zero winnability without the brand name of BJP. So anyhow, those who are corrupts, those who are criminals will have equal chances of the contesting in the elections. And if there is a possibility that in one election, everybody secured net negative votes. This is the example that net votes were negative for all the candidates. In that case also, whoever secures the lowest net votes, net negative votes. In this case, minus 10,000 are the net negative, which is still higher than minus 11,900 and minus 20,050. Then that person can be declared winner. And in the subsequent elections, everybody has seen that the person who became winner had secured the net vote as a negative. So in the subsequent elections, every party will come with even cleaner faces. They will work hard to make sure that there is a huge potential to make a big difference in the results in the following elections on the same seat. So there is no case of getting into re-election mode, right? Which was the case with the Nota. When Nota was demanded from the Supreme Court, the PUCL had requested that if Nota secures highest vote, let us go into re-election mode. This process avoids that requirement. And in India, when the elections are are a huge expense to the exchequer. Re-elections delay definitely the government formation process, plus they come at a huge cost. So in this process, we don't have to go into re-election mode. However, Nota was not given the re-election benefit because of the Section 2D of Representation of People's Act. Section 2D has got definition of election, and definition of election says elections are held to fill the seat. So if there are any elections are happening, we have to fill the seat. And that is the main reason. If the Nota gets highest vote, the genuine candidate who got number 2 votes is declared winner. And that is the reason, one of the reasons that Nota is less effective in the present day scenario. So the benefits of this method is no vote bank politics, higher voting. Yes, if I am sure that some one party is going to get 50% votes anyhow, then I may not go to the vote, go to the polling booth. And in this case, every voter's voice is having the influence on the result. It may be more or less, but it is still much better than what is there in the first past the post system. So voting will definitely increase, and this increased voting will mostly be from the people who are giving their thought before pressing some buttons in the EVM. Decriminalization of politics is very easy. For example, if any party puts up the persons like Kuldeep Singh Sengar, right, I am sure he will easily be voted negatively by at least 50% of the people. When he secures 50% votes as a no vote, his net vote, highest net vote possible is 0%. And in that case, to defeat him is very easy. No space for vote cutters. Vote cutters have no impact on the election results. Even if they contest, they will not be able to make the kind of impact that they are doing it right now. Fair chances of winning for the people like Arun Bhatia and many others who have tried, like Vijay Shankar Pandeyji have tried. There are many examples. I have a list of more than 100 people who tried to make the difference, but we don't want to waste our time in that. Definitely, when there is no money required for vote cutters, there is no need of vote bank consolidation because there is no vote bank politics. The money required for corruption is less. For money required to feed people in the elections, money required to provide freebies in the elections is less. And when there is less money required, when there are independents having fair chances of winning the elections, the corruption will reduce eventually and gradually. And when corruption is reduced, there will be definitely the better implementation of government schemes and administrative policies and practices. As sir said, currently the opposition is opposing anything and everything. In this case, if they try to oppose something that is really genuine in the interest of the people are watching him. They will press no button against them in the following elections. So this definitely has a potential to move the politics of ruling governance, a ruling party and opposition party from conflict to consensus mechanism. Within party, again, I gave you the example that if I am providing money to my party for the ticket in the exchange of ticket, honest has got equal chances of winning the election if they contest the election. So within party, honest and able candidates will be rewarded and will be given the prominent positions. And eventually, the thing that sir told about, like party heads should come together and government should be there to just implement those decisions. So gradually, see, right now, sir, anybody who joins the party in the lower rank doesn't join to make the difference. They join the parties to make the money out of the politics. But that will not be the case. Gradually, the party ecosystem will definitely go towards the cleaner side of the administration, and it will not happen overnight. We may have to wait for about 2-3 cycles of all the elections. Fewer candidates, as there won't be any vote cutters, the candidates will be few. There will be less chaos. There will be less conflicts in the elections. Elections may not be needed on a few seats. Unopposed can be declared. For example, you have done phenomenal work, Anand sir. You have done phenomenal work in a particular area. And if you put up a narrative in the people's mind that those who are contesting against me may motivate you to press no button against me, think of it and think of this motivation and think of who should be given who should be given the red light, who should be given the red signals, either me or others. In that case, if others feel afraid of those higher negative voting, they will pull out from the election, and chances are high that you can be declared unopposed, and elections may not be required at all in that particular constituency. This system doesn't require runoff elections, still assures the seat level representation, and that is very critical. Against the list system, there are many advocates who are advocating the list system has to be there. List system doesn't assure the seat level representation and accountability of the representative. Proportional representation system is again advocated by many, but I am sure this proportional representation system will not get rid of vote bank politics. In fact, it will increase the vote bank politics. Right now, there is no political party representing Patels only in the India. But if representation system comes in, the Patels will form their own independent party. The Rajputs will form their own independent party. Parsis will form their own independent parties, because they will secure the votes from their own community and caste, and they will demand equal representation in the parliament house. And in future will remain limited to the alliance politics only. This process, even if parties get into alliance, they will have to be wary of their impressions and conduct in the public life. This system is really easy with the help of EVMs and VVPATs. VVPATs are playing phenomenal role in defeating the concept of EVM hacking. So I believe it is high time that we go for this. At the same time, why this system is logically correct? Article 19(1)(a) gives freedom of expression. With the first past the post system, my freedom of that expression is restricted. I am forced to vote again for only one candidate. If I am liking 3 candidates, and if I am not liking 3 other candidates, and if I am not sure of 4th candidate, I am not able to express that opinion freely in the first past the post system. But this system provides that freedom. I am neutral to one person. Okay, I will not press any button against him. If I don't like 4 people, I will press no button against them. If I don't like if I like only 2 candidates, I will press green buttons against them. So this system exercises that freedom much better than any other option available in the market. Second thing is Article 14, that provides right to equality before the law. If the lawmakers are getting elected with the help of vote bank politics, then I am doubtful about the proper implementation of this, again, right, the right of equality before the law. If the lawmakers form the laws which are in favor of particular section of the society, for example, this 1,000 rupees to every woman in the constituency, that it is a bias based on gender. Simple. And Representation of People's Act, Section 2D, I mentioned in the earlier part, that definition says elections are held to fill the seat. Okay, fill the seat with the help of highest net negative vote. Done. We don't have to go into re-election mode. The people of that area will take care of their representative in the subsequent elections. And there are seats, there are areas where people don't want to vote. So if you provide a facility or I would say the mechanism where re-elections can be held, then there are certain sections, certain regions in India who will keep voting no all the time. And election commission doesn't have time to go for elections again and again. Take an example of Jammu and Kashmir, some areas of Jammu and Kashmir and some areas of Northeast. So it is better that we declare winner whoever has got highest vote, even if that is net negative. That's all from my side. I believe I was very well within the time frame I was given. And now the floor is open for the questions. Mr. Gautam, Anandji, sir, please, if you have, I believe you will always have some.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Participants, if you have any question, please type in chat box.
Yes, we can invite the question. First, we can invite Pushpa ji and
okay.
Presentation.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And I would like to introduce our third speaker, Pushpa ma'am. Pushpa ma'am is born to liberal thinking, peculiar parents, and she is a postgraduate in English literature with a career spanning fields of advertising, journalism, and public relations. She offers strong English writing skill during political and social activism over several years. She advocates for civic rights, especially for underprivileged citizens of India. And Madam engaged with civic activism via RWAs and CSOs. She convinced real change can only come via political power. And Madam quit full-time job to join local Paritran party and supporting new parties from 2012 and active in IAC movement. Madam joined Aam Aadmi Party, and Madam is committed to upholding value, principles, and social economic justice and equity. Currently involved in many socio-political and anti-corruption issues and movements. Now, Madam, over to you.
Namaste to all. I'm Pushpa S. I'm coming to you from Bangalore. And I think a little brief was given now by Pratima about my background. I just wanted to clarify a bit more. The actual reason why I particularly mention my background of being literature postgraduate and later worked in writing. I mean, through my career, I was in writing and journalism and public relations. And I think all this work towards giving me a better idea of how to contribute towards all these CSOs on the civic work, which I was able to help with when I joined RWAs after while I was still actually working full time. So I would like to just say that I also undertook an entrepreneurial venture where I wanted to bring out a magazine for Bangalore city. And it was quite a success, except that financially I really burnt my fingers. But it also gave me a better idea of the overall systems in place also. I worked as a trainer with the ITS sector also for about 5.5 years after I switched careers actually. In my social and civic activism, I quit my job actually in 2005 and I decided to freelance from home so that I could become active in RWA work. And what I actually learned was a lot because interacting with departments, etc., I actually was really rubbed up very personally against corruption, not just in the departments, but where there were nexus with the babus, as they're called, with the officers in the departments, with even the elected representatives being involved. And this is when I really got a kind of an obsession to fight against corruption. I felt that this was something that you should all undertake. And while I was with RWAs, in fact, we had a federation of RWAs in the Northeast where I lived, Northeast of Bangalore. And I became really active because I actually wanted to somehow get around this corruption, which was rampant. So unfortunately, even till now, it is a situation is worse, in fact, as some of you might have read about how there's a 40% commission system in Karnataka. But I think it is still the issue that all of us need to really come together and work on. So as just now, Mr. Jivani also was speaking about the corruption in the electoral system. That's one aspect of it, and a very, very important aspect. And besides that, in civil society, life is made so difficult because of this corruption with a capital C. So that's one bee in my bonnet, and I have consistently been trying to work on that. And when IAC, India Against Corruption movement started, I jumped in with my full mind and heart into it, and was happy to see a whole lot of others also who jumped in to do something about corruption. Unfortunately, as everybody knows, it was hijacked or waylaid or whatever. But and later after that, we have not managed to again mobilize big activities or movements against corruption. And I think this is a lack, and we need to actually work on that. So while I was with just before actually 2012, when the India Against Corruption movement happened, I had come to the conclusion with my experience with CSOs or RWAs, and I mean, I also tried to work with Janakra at that point. I came to understand that it is actually electoral politics and electoral power which is essential if you really want to bring about change in the polity and in society. And that is the reason why a fledgling political party which was started in 2005, I joined it. It was only in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and I got a little bit of experience working in the field, campaigning, etc., electoral work. And I realized that this is something we need to take forward. But unfortunately, for various reasons, that Lok Paritran folded up. It was actually with lots of ideals. It was started by former IIT professionals and other professionals. But unfortunately, it just fizzled out for various reasons. So after that, I and a couple of my colleagues, we decided that we needed to start the party of Lok Satta. Lok Satta at that time was only there in Hyderabad, where Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan had started it, and he had a branch in Chennai. And we felt we needed to start one in Karnataka. So we went and met him, and actually he said, yes, go ahead. I think that Karnataka is the next place. So we founded that party, and we also participated in a few elections. One was graduate constituency, then there was other assembly elections. And so I actually gained a lot more experience in campaigning and in electoral politics. So that stood me in good stead, because after Lok Sat, when 2012, when IAC began, and I told you I got involved in that, I was still with Lok Satta. But subsequently, when AAP was launched, I left Lok Satta. If I should attribute any reasons for why I left Lok Satta, is because I found that I was not able to, or not allowed to really contribute much, which is a problem with many parties, where a lot of young people, I mean, I was not that young at the time, but a lot of young people also had joined with us, and they're not given a chance or allowed to really contribute. So their idealism, they become disillusioned. So in a like manner, I also left Lok Satta, and when AAP was launched, I was with them. And I thought, this is the thing now, we got to really change the whole system so that corruption can be taken on at full speed. But as all of you are aware, this again was not to be. And so when Swaraj in Abhiyan was launched by some of the members who were leaders at AAP, I also joined them. Actually, there were some controversies that happened in AAP, as many are aware, and that is the reason why many left AAP and joined Swaraj Abhiyan. So Swaraj Abhiyan gave me a chance to really work in the districts also, because as a founder member and helping set up the whole organization in Karnataka, along with a few other founder members, I was able to get a lot of experience in becoming familiar with how people work in the districts also. So I would like to state here that, being from a army background, and living a life of what they call, elite and all that. I mean, you don't have to. So I went by bus and used bus and all that. I still felt that I knew nothing at all about how people in the villages and in the districts really interact and how they perceive life. And I came to know that a lot of CSOs and NGOs are started, and a lot of good work was being done. And so that also made me realize that, you know, coming together to work on issues that will ameliorate the life of the poor, marginalized, the deprived, and those who have had injustice done to them by the state even. I felt that these are the things that really we need to work together on. So um, I would say that I first became obsessed with anti-corruption work, and it actually continued while I was in Swaraj Abhiyan. Actually, our one of our leaders in Swaraj Abhiyan, and along with several other legal and judicial members, retired members, had started what was called the Anti-Corruption Team, ACT Act. And what we worked on, I was very active in Karnataka with the Act as coordinator, and we worked on actually developing RTI activists, because the idea was to get together people who were legally aware, legally qualified even, and also who wish to fight corruption. So basically, this team consists of a lot of anti-corruption crusaders, RTI activists, and thanks to Aruna Roy, Nikhil Dev, etc., as we know, the RTI was a very, very strong tool that was used and for a long time to for taking down many of the corrupt individuals who were, I should say, who had been amassing wealth getting taxpayers' money, misappropriating taxpayers' money, and so that is going on. And in fact, that was one organization or a kind of a committee that was formed, anti-corruption team. Besides that, in Swaraj Abhiyan, we also had an Aman committee, which was working on communal harmony. So a little of experience I did have in that also before I have now come to Society for Communal Harmony. We used to organize meetings and work against the hate events, I should say, hate events, hate actions, and the injustices to the underprivileged, the vulnerable, and to help them, to also help them legally. So since we had the ACT team as well as one committee working on these kind of issues, I think we did manage to achieve some progress and some successes. The other thing I wanted to mention is, since we spoke about this already, anti-corruption was spoken about by both Mr. Jivani and Mr. ANAND on the national level. I feel that if we want to really contend with any of the issues, including corruption in the nation, we should all join together, because just like Society for Communal Harmony is one national organization formed to contend with the hate and events that cause divisiveness in the nation, pitting various communities against each other. I feel that we should all come together to fight this. And by come together, I mean that there are already so many other organizations in each state, I believe. And here in Karnataka, we have so many who have over the last years, since I got into public life, have been working on these issues, and they might have names which are not in English, they are in Kannada. I must confess that one of my handicaps is I don't speak Kannada well, but I can understand, and somehow with a two-language formula I have been managing in all these activities with CSOs, etc., who are dominated by many leaders who speak only in Kannada. So I feel that in spite of these language differences, all these organizations who are basically working towards the same objective, which is to um, overcome the divisive forces, to overcome the hate that has been spewed into the society, so that now India is become so what you say, the atmosphere is so vitiated that nobody is able to do any good work. I feel that there's a necessity for all the organizations to come together, and I have been trying and working on towards that. And I actually have talked about some leaders of of Society for Communal Harmony also, that we need to actually bring together similar organizations that have similar objectives in all the states and combine them, because I am a great believer in we the people of India and the power that we could have if we really came together to bring about change in the nation. So this is something which I feel really, I personally am working on, and I feel that we should all who are here now also get together to work upon. And just to mention that the reason why this is not something very new, I don't think it's a new idea I'm coming up with. A lot of people have tried to do this, mobilize everybody and bring them together. But the factor that really is not allowing anything to progress is ego. And I have come across this personally also in various organizations where I have worked. And it is, I think, the one thing that prevents even organizations who have the same aims, objectives, mission, etc., to really come together and work on one particular issue. So just for an example, I would like to mention that the Dalit organizations with whom we have also been associated, I was very surprised, since I am quite a little ignorant in so many of these issues, to find that not only are they just divided into two factions, but there are more than two factions. And then again, in the farmers' issues, our farmer organizations in Karnataka itself are divided into at least 2 or 3 factions, 2 definitely, who do not come together to even talk about ways to go forward. So I have this abiding belief that we the people of India are the ones who have to really come together to bring about change, ameliorate the situation in our nation, in our states. And I think that we should concentrate our energies on that. All the people's movements over the years have brought some success. And I believe if all of us come together and work, we could make a huge difference. I think this is something that is really very germane to it. So I thank you very much. And I don't know if I've gone past the time. I'm sorry if I did. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I would like to invite our fourth speaker. Our fourth speaker, Shree Sudhir Gautam Gandrota sir from World Humanist Forum. Sir, please share your thoughts with our participants and with all of us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Sir.
Thank you very much for this invitation. I represent the World Humanist Forum, Asia, And the words that Pratima Madam, Pushpa Madam used just now, that all like-minded organizations need to come together. This platform of World Humanist Forum has been built precisely for that. The idea is that organizations based on non-violence and no discrimination can come together, keeping their identity intact, no need to merge into one group or one large group or anything, and bringing together the synergy, working on common issues, and thus not only enlarging their campaign possibilities, but also strengthening each one and bringing a lot of positivity in the environment. And this can make a much bigger difference. A small organization, let's say with 20 members, and a large organization with 20,000 members, when they work together, each one becomes 20,000, and that makes a big difference. There are only two conditions we have kept. One is that the organizations need to believe in non-violence and should not discriminate against anyone. And that is all. We call such people as humanists. No differences of gender, of language, of borders, or any kind at all. And we treat all human beings as one. And I think the initiative like today and all such initiatives are taking us in a direction where people can be together and people can really work strongly together, strengthening each other without worrying that I'm too small or you are too big or anything like that. Because this is all a mind game finally. At individual level, we need to enhance our levels of consciousness to think bigger and to be able to come out with real solutions for the mess that the society is facing today. And at groupal level, to be together and implement those things. I don't have much to say than this, that this initiative that Randhir and his group has taken is a wonderful one, and such initiatives need to go become bigger by more participation, and we need to come forward to take care of our country, our society, our world together as ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We have one more speaker with us, Sri Ramsaran sir, and he is an eminent social activist. I would like to invite him for sharing his thoughts for 2 minutes. Sri Ramsaran sir.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
Yes sir, you are audible.
इस बोलने का मौका देने के लिए बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं थोड़ा देरी से शामिल हुआ, इसलिए पूरी बात नहीं सुन पाया, और थोड़ी मेरी मजबूरी है कि मैं अंग्रेजी में बात नहीं रख सकता हूँ, तो मुझे इजाजत है कि मैं हिंदी में अपनी बात रखूं?
Yes sir.
तो मैंने जैसे शुरू में प्रस्ताव सुना, जो एक नए तरह के ईवीएम मशीन का, वो इंटरेस्टिंग है और उस पर आगे सोच विचार किया जाना चाहिए। लेकिन चुनाव सुधार के संदर्भ में सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात है पैसे का खेल। आज हमारे लोकतंत्र पर पूंजीपतियों का कब्जा हो गया है। आज एक छोटे से पंचायत चुनाव में भी करोड़ों रुपए का खर्च होता है, और लोग इन्वेस्टमेंट के तौर पर नहीं बल्कि जुए के तौर पर लगा रहे हैं। 10 आदमी लगाते हैं, कोई एक जीतता है, और फिर वो जब जीत करके जाता है तो वो पूरा पैसा वसूल लेता है पिछले चुनाव में जो भी उसने खर्च किया है। तो इस तरह से चुनाव जो है सो भ्रष्टाचार की जननी हो गई है। पूरे देश में जो भ्रष्टाचार फैला है उसका मूल कारण ये चुनाव में पैसे का खर्च है, और इसके चलते जो है तो हमारी सत्ता पर पूंजीपतियों को कब्जा करना आसान हो गया है। आपको याद होगा कि जब पूंजीपतियों ने ये तय किया था मिलकर के कि मोदी जी को प्रधानमंत्री बनाया जाए, तो बीजेपी को मजबूर होकर के मोदी जी को प्रधानमंत्री के उम्मीदवार के रूप में रखना पड़ा था। उस समय तक वो सिर्फ गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री के तौर पर ही जाने जाते थे, लेकिन जब पूंजीपतियों के समर्थन का भरोसा हुआ तो मोदी जी को आगे बढ़ाया गया। उसमें कोई मोदी जी की लहर नहीं थी, उसमें अन्ना आंदोलन की लहर थी, जिसके कारण कि जनता में गुस्सा फैला हुआ था। जिस तरह से बॉन्ड जारी किया गया है, इसमें पता नहीं चलता है कि कौन सा उद्योगपति किस पार्टी को चुनाव दे रहा है और फंड दे रहा है। अब ये भी नहीं पता चलता है कि कौन सी कंपनी दे रही है। जो विदेशी कंपनियां हैं वो भी इसमें पैसा दे सकती हैं और ये हो सकता है कि हमारी आजादी पर भी दबाव बन रहा है इस इलेक्शन फंड के चलते। ये भी कहा जा रहा है कि बहुत सारी कंपनियां जो भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त हैं वो इलेक्शन फंड में पैसा डाल रही हैं और वो पैसा सीधे बीजेपी की ओर जा रहा है। अधिकांश पैसा बीजेपी की ओर जा रहा है, हजारों करोड़ रुपया। और इस पैसे का उपयोग गलत तरीके से हो रहा है। जो सरकार जो रेवड़ियां बांटती है वो तो अलग है, लोगों को राशन देना या और तरह की सहायता देना मैं गलत नहीं मानता हूँ, लेकिन जिस तरह से कि चुनाव में खर्च होता है, विज्ञापनों पर खर्च होता है, कार्यकर्ताओं पर खर्च होता है, हवाई जहाज पर खर्च होता है, एक साधारण आदमी जो ईमानदार है वो कैसे चुनाव लड़ सकता है? ईमानदार आदमी तो सोच करके डरता है कि हम यहाँ पर जाएंगे तो लाखों रुपया क्यों खर्च करेंगे, जबकि उसको वो पैसा भ्रष्टाचार से वसूलना नहीं है। तो ये लाखों रुपया वही खर्च करने के लिए तैयार होता है जो कि भ्रष्टाचार करने के लिए तैयार हो, जिससे कि फिर वो पैसा वापस आ सके। तो ये जो मूल रूप से है भ्रष्टाचार को जन्म दे रहा है। इसके अलावे हमारे समाज में जो पार्टियां हैं उनका उद्देश्य ये था कि गरीब उम्मीदवार को भी वो जिताएं, उनको खड़ा करें, उनकी मदद में ऐसा होता भी था। लेकिन अब पार्टियां भी पैसे के लिए मजबूर हो गई हैं। वो जनता से पैसा नहीं मांगती हैं, वो बड़े बड़े उद्योगपतियों से पैसा लेती हैं और उन्हीं की नीतियों को लागू करती हैं। आज जो देश में जन विरोधी नीतियां लागू हो रही हैं वो इसलिए हो रही हैं क्योंकि उनको पैसे के लिए बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियों से मदद लेनी पड़ती है। वो भी आज अडानी जो परिस्थितियां बन
Sir,
रही
I
हैं।
have a request, sir. Kindly conclude your thoughts, sir.
जी
आप सर अपने वक्तव्य को थोड़ा कंक्लूड करें, सर. We
क्या
are
समय
running short of time. हमारे समय की कमी है.
अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है। तो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि ये आज का मूल और कई सवाल हैं, समय की कमी है इसलिए मैं उन पर नहीं जवाब दूंगा, लेकिन ये एक प्रयास हम लोग कर रहे हैं कि बनारस में एक सम्मेलन करें जिसमें देश के जो प्रमुख लोग हैं उनको हम लोगों ने जोड़ने की कोशिश की है, जिसमें गांधीवादी, समाजवादी, मार्क्सवादी और लोहियावादी सबको एक जगह लाने की कोशिश हो रही है। और लेकिन इसमें ऐसे लोग मुख्य रूप से हैं जो कि खुद चुनाव लड़ करके सत्ता पाने की कोशिश में नहीं है, लेकिन उस देश की सत्ता को बदलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। इसका एक प्रयास बनारस में होने वाला है। धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, sir. And I would like to invite our next speaker, sir, Vijay Rao, sir. Vijay Rao, sir, eminent social scientist. And please, sir, share your thoughts with us. Vijay Rao, sir. Vijay Rao, sir.
It's taking some time. You can invite others.
Okay. Now I would like to invite Professor Ganguly, sir, from Italy, and I'm invite for him for suggestions on our topic. Professor Ganguly, sir.
Professor Gyan Gului.
Ganguly, sir. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, sir.
Very much. It was really very interesting, and I have taken many notice. Well, if I may, I would like to ask a question. That is, I learned very much about the questions regarding the problems of the votes, and what I was asking to myself when I was hearing is there is here a problem consisting in gerrymandering for votes. That is the signing the redistribution of circular of electoral districts so that a party take more advantages than another party. That is, is this a problem also, or this problem is not, or at least if it is a problem, is this problem faced in this project of electoral reform or not? Because I think that in some countries this is a problem, in some not. For instance, in the United States, gerrymandering for votes is always a problem since I think 200 years, but perhaps this is not a problem in India. So I was curious to put this question. Otherwise, I have really enjoyed it, and well, I will meditate on all the information which I have learned through the interesting contributions. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, Vijay Rao sir with us. I would like to invite Vijay Rao sir. Vijay Rao sir, are you with us? Kindly unmute yourself. I think sir is not with us. Now, I would like to invite conclude the session. For conclude the session, respected Pushpa ma'am. Ma'am, kindly conclude the session, please.
Or you can ask Amit bhai to answer these questions. There are some questions in the chat box.
Okay. We have few questions with us. Now, our first question from...
Sorry, questions may...
Yes, from...
I'm seeing some questions.
Yes, sir.
First one is, what are the roles of social pressure group for doing... I am still not able to get the exact question. Can Vidya Sakarji please repeat? Or if you're comfortable in Hindi, I wish you can open up.
What are the role of social pressure group for doing or reforms for electoral reforms for misleading higher authorities like judiciary or other one at national level? So this is the question from Vidya Sagarji.
I'm not getting that question itself. That is, that is the thing.
Okay, Vidya Sagarji, if you are with us, kindly read your question. Or you can unmute yourself and ask from our speaker. Vidya Sagarji, okay. I think he is not with us. And one more question. Yes, sir.
How many countries give voting rights to all citizens, irrespective of literacy, property, and gender status?
Gender status.
Yes. To be honest with you, we shouldn't get into this kind of question at all. Because I have seen those many people who are completely illiterate went on to do fantastic job for public. I have seen yesterday we had elected a lady who has done really good work in her life as a president of India. And as far as property is concerned, if you restrict the rights of voting based on somebody's financial status or wealthiness, I am completely against it, as it breaks the fundamental of equality in all respects. So this question shouldn't be even thought of. Forget answering it.
Okay. I think no more questions from the participants.
Sirji, if anybody would like to have a question, यदि आप हिंदी में भी ठीक है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं.
Yes, I would like to ask a question.
Sure.
Actually,
Ma'am, you're muted. You are muted. Please unmute first.
You're unmuted, huh? Okay, so actually, I had come to know that there was work going on in reforms, electoral reforms in Delhi, and we had meeting here in Karnataka, in Bangalore also, which I had the privilege to attend. And a colleague of mine has some inputs to give on the technical aspects. So actually, you were talking more about the system, changing the whole electoral system. But what about the technical aspects before that finally happens, which I'm sure cannot happen in a hurry? What about actually trying to correct the functioning of EVMs or VVPATs, or do away with VVPATs, or do away with EVMs? So that aspect, is anybody working on that? Because there is someone here who's a colleague of mine who unfortunately is not on this meeting now, who has come up with a solution. I don't know how successful it will be, which is technical in nature, to take part, to change the system itself, where EVMs are so easily, can be tampered with and subverted, etc.
See, ma'am, don't get me wrong. I discussed this part with Dr. S.Y. Qureshi personally at his home, and the present day EVMs are not temperable. Had it been the case, everybody has right to go to Supreme Court. Since as there was some doubt in the minds of some experts, I wouldn't use a different word, we introduced VVPAT system. And so far, VVPAT verifications have not led to any kind of discrepancy.
But the verification has been very minimal.
I understand there is something we can widen the scope of that one. I don't disagree with that. But the very concept of temperability of the EVM is completely baseless, because some other countries are not following it. Doesn't mean that no other country in the world follows UPI. I use it every day, and I'm feeling very safe about it.
VVPAT is the one which Mr. Rahul Mehta has demonstrated how it can be tampered with.
Ma'am, I have personally met Rahul Mehta many times. He just stays around 25 kilometers away from my home. And I don't want to utter too much about what his observations are. But as a technical person, as a person dealing with the technology every day now and then, I disagree with his observations completely in single voice, in single opinion.
Thank you, sir.
And one more thing, these VVPATs and even EVMs, I said with Dr. S.Y. Qureshi and on this topic, these are approved by IRT experts. If you go back to the process of getting process approved, in fact, Qureshi sir asked me, can we do something similar like EVM for Rajya Sabha MP election, because that is very time consuming? And I said, sir, as long as logic has to be implemented, counting has to be done, I would be against the EVM of that kind. But if you have to just simply store the number, somebody has pressed the button against, and that number has to be reflected, that mechanism is 100% tamper-proof in the present day setup.
So
it has been certified by IIT experts as well, not just me.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to invite Dr. Anand sir for comments and for his point.
Thank you so much. And it was really a very fruitful discussion. And I think the very issue of electoral reforms has been centralized. And Jivani,
sorry.
Jivani sir.
Sir, मैं शायद आपके बेटे के एज का होगा.
And I found his work very, very exhaustive, and a lot of hard labor, hard thinking had gone into it. And Dr. Pushpa ji, a social scientist, social service
activist.
It was really wonderful when you said, "We the people of India." This is a phrase which inspires us actually, and I liked it. Your work against corruption and your clarion call that all those who think well of India should unite under one banner. They may retain their identities, but they should get together. So I think we are leaving this stage today with this feeling that all the good thinking people, all people who want change should come together and should rally under the banner of, as we see in that Society for Communal Harmony. We should get together somewhere, some platform where we can express our ideas. So far as my views were concerned, as I said in the beginning, I wish they may look radical. They may look very, out of the way, out of the earth. But still, we need to look at alternatives, because within the system, no government will allow you any changes unless you take out a very, very, mass-based movement against it. Otherwise, no electoral reforms will be allowed which go to help the masses. Now, what happens? The people who give the vote, it is just like sending a daughter from your home, and then you have no control. Once the vote is taken, it is taken. It is hijacked. What you said, waylaid. It is waylaid after that. You cannot call the man into question. For 4 years, he is free. So these things, we have not mentioned the idea of recall. So how to empower the voter? That is the basic issue. And how to, change his mindset. Today we are feeling helpless. How to make him feel that he is powerful? That is the main issue actually. The things are, we know things, it is a rotten system, and we are doing post-mortem of it. That is not enough. We should think how to change it. That is very important. And I would like you to engage yourself with this idea, how we can change it. We should have some ideas to implement. We should have an alternative system, because we are all of us, all the people whom I talk, they are just working within this frame that democracy, nobody will allow you. I wrote this book, I tell you, I sent it to a very, very high status man in Punjab. He was chairman of planning commission. He read this book. He said, your views are very good, but who will implement it? No, that is the question. This government will not implement what we want. So issues are very clear. We need a better people, better system, and our problem is that politically we don't have any alternative.
We have two
We
more
need to create
questions.
that alternative. So thank you very much. I
Uh,
congratulate you all. Thank you all for being with us. So nice of you. Wonderful discussion. Let us be meeting together again. That will be.
So, but we have two more questions, sir. If you allowed us, then I will read it.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, one question from Vidyasagar ji, and he replied us. He's asking about the intervention by government. Earlier, he asked us related to reforms.
What is the question?
1 minute, sir. I think 1 minute. So, I'll take second question.
Yes, just the last question. Anil Srivastava.
Anil, from Anil Srivastava ji.
Yes,
If we link
Amit Jivani,
voter card-
please respond this question.
Sir, I am still not confident about this process, primarily because it involves internet. It involves the freedom of somebody to work from home, and at home anything can happen. Right, so that is the one thing. Yes, it definitely helps people who are far away from their homes. One thing. Second thing, linking Aadhaar card with voter is not required as long as is genuinely voter and registered a voter. But online voting is something I am not confident about it. And see, don't mix EVMs and online voting. EVMs are completely standalone systems. Think of your computer at home. You have your computer not connected to any system, keep it using for years and years. Do you think will it have any virus? Even if you don't plug in, you don't have to connect any other device, you don't have to connect it to any other internet. Do you think will it have any kind of tampering possibility in that computer? No. Similarly, EVMs are completely standalone machines with no wireless receptors, and that is why they are safe. When you allow it to connect to something else, yes, there is a temperability is possible, and that is the reason I don't agree with this idea of online voting. Even if it is a cost sensitive, cost beneficial, it is still a temporable it has got temporability.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for answer. I would like to invite Mr. Randhir for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Pratima ji. It was a very insightful session, and thank you particularly our respected speaker, Amit Bhai and Pushpa ji. You brought very important point. And Dr. JERNAIL Singh ANAND, as always, he invokes one idea which is central to the strengthening of democracy, that is empowerment of the voices of the people. And Jayaprakash Narayan, he conceived the idea and gave to Tarkunde committee, and he also recommended beautiful reforms. And Jayaprakash Narayan also talks about right to recall. Until unless this idea will be implemented, we cannot think about democracy as its real sense we practice. So, and also, Amit Bhai, definitely we have to revisit our electoral system. Until unless we revisit, we cannot have alternative possibility of representation for that matter. Of course, Germany, at some point we can see they are using proportional sort of representation. But again, Amit Bhai told that because we are fragmented society, we the people, we cherish the word, but we are very fragmented. The caste politics will come into the picture, Of course, there are discussion good and bad around the caste politics. But the thing is that we have to also think about what could be the way, a kind of sustainable way. Of course, until unless we solve the problem of market economy, ruling oligarchy for that matter, electoral reform is very important because we practice electoral autocracy. And criminalization of politics is a very normal thing for us. Even voter in Bihar, they like Bahubali, they represent Bahubali for them. Even, of course, we are very thankful to Professor Jagdeep Chokarji with his PIL. We have done very tremendous job, and there are many corrupt people who will not fight the election. But also we have to think about those who do the very creative corruption, I would say. They take money from the Adani and Ambani and they win the election. And they don't have their, possibility of getting punishment for that matter with the law. They don't have fear of our constitution. So we will think about and we will meditate, and also we will sensitize people. There are many law students who joined today, and I asked them that, you do legal activism. So please also sensitize, people. Until unless we aware people, we cannot have a better possibility of democratic life altogether. So thank you so much, all respected friend. And I can see Anil Srivastava, Vijay Rao Sahab. We are also nurturing one program in Varanasi, 13 and 14. So Ram Saranji has joined, and he also raised very important concern. So thank you so much, and we will again meet with new idea, and till we want to say goodbye. And thank you so much for your kind participation. Also those who see this program from Facebook and YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your kind participation.